Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Public notice will be read at the start of the open public meeting. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Balca? Mrs. Bacco? Here. Mrs. Bloom? Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Mrs. Kenny?
Here.
Ms. Rubio?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
And Mr. Syak.
Here. Can I have a motion for executive, please?
So moved.
By Mrs. Rubio, a second by Mrs. Bloom. Would you read the resolution, please?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, student matters, negotiations regarding the Sayreville Education Association, and attorney-client privilege on board member conduct and ethics. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Mrs. Bacco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Rubio?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Syak?
Yes. Okay, the meeting is closed. We'll resume at 7:30.
And welcome to the February 18, 2020 Sayreville Board of Education meeting.
Excuse me. Okay.
Please take notice that this public meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger in accordance with Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, further, in accordance with NJSA 1046-6 through 21. A copy of this notice was posted outside the Secretary's office, and a copy was also filed with the Clerk of the Borough of Sayreville. Would you please join me in Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Hill, roll call, please.
Mr. Balco?
Here.
Mrs. Bacco?
Here.
Mrs. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Mrs. Kenny?
Here.
Ms. Rubio?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Syak?
Thank you. Ms. Hill, can you please summarize executive session for us, please?
The board discussed personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, student matters, negotiations related to the Sayreville Education Association, and attorney-client privilege on board member conduct and ethics.
Okay, I don't believe there's any correspondence, so I will make a move to approve the minutes. Can I entertain a motion to have the minutes of the regular and executive sessions, please, for February 8th, 2020?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
By John Walsh. Thank you. Any comments on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call on the minutes, please.
Mr. Balca?
Yes.
Mrs. Bacco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Rubio?
Yes.
And Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So standing in for our student reps today is our own Carrie Kenny. So if you could please give the high school report, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see what I can see. Good evening. I am incredibly sorry I'm not able to make the Board of Education meeting tonight due to my basketball game in East Brunswick at 7 o'clock for the Greater Middlesex County Tournament, though I'd still like to provide a report of what's been going on at the high school this month. First, both Devin Platt and Evan Brown received recognition for placing 6th at the Universal Technical Institute Top Tech Challenge for Auto Mechanics. The SWMHS Future Business Leaders of America Club received a proclamation for FBLA PBL Week from Mayor Victoria Kilpatrick and the entire Sayreville Municipal Council. It is great to see that the hard work that our FBLA chapter is doing for the school and the community is being recognized by the borough as well. We are nearing the end for all of the winter sports as they are participating in their GMC and state tournaments. On January 23rd, the high school hosted the first ever freshman tip-off open house during a varsity boys basketball game to see the various clubs and sports offered to those looking to get involved. Both boys and girls basketball had their senior nights earlier this month. The boys won their first game of the GMCs this past Saturday, and the girls played their first GMC game at home tomorrow. On Saturday, the high school cheer team won the Northeast National Cheer Competition held in Wildwood. The varsity wrestling team continues to show their dominance with an exciting win over Franklin Township. Lastly, the girls bowling team won their Group 3 North 2 State Sectional Tournament on February 8th. As the winter sports season is winding down, the spring sports season is nearing, with the first day of tryouts being March 6th. It is now officially the second semester, marking half of the school year completed. Junior, sophomore, and freshman students are beginning to meet with their guidance counselors to form their schedules for the next year. Seniors only have one more semester left until they graduate from high school and go their separate ways. There are many events that we will be looking forward to attending as the school year continues to progress. Lastly, I'm truly sorry to not be able to be here for this meeting, but my presence is needed to help defeat East Brunswick in our second game for the Greater Middlesex County Basketball Tournament. Thank you. That's Stephen, not me. They
Great
definitely don't
job.
need
Great
me.
job. Good luck to the boys tonight.
And Mr.
Okay,
Esposito, we have
Bears.
a special guest here
Yeah, I
from
see
middle
that.
school.
I see that. Maeve Whitty, right? I got that right? All right, Maeve, take it away.
The middle school's boys basketball team did a great job this year learning on the fly. With many new faces working together for the first time, Coach Provenza was happy with the amazing effort that the student athletes put forward. Led by the 8th graders Jace Green and Sean Wilson, this unit created some great memories on the court. Looking forward, Coach Provenza is excited to work with the underclassmen next year, who he feels has great potential. Thanks to a wonderful season, boys. Keep up the great work. SMS cheerleading team came in first place on February 9th at IMP ACT at the Asbury Convention Center. The team will compete this Sunday at Howell High School and then head to the NJCDCA state competition on February 29th. The Lady Bombers ended their season with 5 wins and 8 losses. We beat some pretty tough competition in Linwood and Sandburg Middle School. We also put up a very tough fight against Piscataway Middle School. Our leading scorer was Madison Pelock, followed by Kaylee Elizarov. Jalen Evans and Ava Mason led our defense with many steals to disrupt the offense of the opposing team. Although we will miss our old 8th graders, we are looking forward to growing our middle school program with the returning 7th and 6th graders next season. The middle school wrestling team finished with the season with 11-1 record. It was an outstanding team effort by everyone. Individual awards are as follows: Big School Country Champs, CJ McCrae, Tyler Whifford, Dan A., Andrew Bouchard, and Connor Walsh. Big vs. Small County Champs, Andrew Bouchard, Tyler Whifford, Connor Walsh. Middlesex vs. Monmouth Champ and Tri-County Champ, Andrew Bouchard. A student council hosted Spirit Week leading by the 100 Days of Bomber Pride. 5 students won the trivia contest. Thank you to the PTO who donated gift certificates to the school store. The PTO hosted the Pocketbook Bingo on Friday, January 31st at Sayreville Middle School. It was very successful. The principal's honor roll luncheon will take place on Wednesday, February 26th during the lunch periods. Students who are interested in applying for the Junior National Honor Society applications are due no longer later than 3 p.m. on Friday, February 21st to the guidance office. Thank you.
Great job. I was at that pocketbook bingo. I turned the numbers and the letters. I showed off the pocketbooks. It was interesting, very interesting. And by the way,
You have a future in that.
you're sitting next to, you know who that is, right? That's your Connor Walsh's father.
You may not know who I am, but I know who you are. And I got a lot of stories about your uncles. Not your mom, she was a saint,
Sure.
Any questions?
but your uncles.
Anyone? No? Great job, really. Good job filling in.
Thank you.
Great job, man.
All right.
Excellent.
I'm sure you want to go home, right? Do you want to stay and listen for 4 hours? Go. Run. Okay. filling in tonight with the district highlights is our very own Mr. Walsh.
How am I going to top that?
Smile and look cute.
I'll do my best. Congratulations to Mrs. Kim Thornton, teacher at the Truman School, who was selected as a member of the Magic 98.3 2020 class of teachers that make magic. Congratulations to the following Sayreville War Memorial High School art students who won awards through the annual Scholastic Art Competition. Tisha Maddock, honorable mention. Ian Kelly, Silver Key Award. Jair Velez, Silver Key Award. Jair has advanced to the national level of adjudication, that's a hard word, in New York City. Both the Sayreville War Memorial High School girls and boys indoor track, wrestling, girls bowling teams are to be congratulated on winning the Greater Middlesex Conference White Division Championship for consecutive seasons. The girls bowling team also won the New Jersey Group 3 North 2 Championship. Likewise, we commend and congratulate Sayreville Middle School wrestler Andrew Bouchard on becoming a Tri-County champion. In addition, we congratulate the Sayreville Middle School competition cheer team for winning the Impact Cheer and Dance Challenge in Asbury Park. They and the Sayreville War Memorial High School competition cheer team also won Jackson Liberty Cheer competition. Thanks to the Sayreville Middle School staff and students who participated in the annual Kathy Whiteley Scholarship Volleyball Tournament, they raised $833 in honor of the beloved teacher who passed away tragically several years ago. Project Before students and staff made and sent personalized Valentine's Day cards to the brave men and women in the armed services as part of the Valentine's for the Troops Drive. Congratulations to the members and performers of the Sayreville Marching Band and Color Guard for another successful season. Thank you for representing our high school and district in such a wonderful manner. Great job by all our students and staff, again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Okay, so I believe this is the final 3 presentations for budget season. Am I correct in that? or-
Yep.
Okay, so Dr. Labby, if you'd like to take it away. And
So why don't we begin by asking Dr. Aguiles to come on up and give his presentation on personnel and professional development. And I believe that Mrs. Obrick, our supervisor of professional development, will be joining him.
Good evening. I got a haircut just for you, Dr. Labby. I knew you'd take it. In 2019, 2020, in order to establish a better division of labor in the HR department, and in order to improve productivity, the speed hiring process, especially as it relates to hiring of substitutes, we believe that we met this goal. Specific people in the department have been tasked with specific duties, but one of the things that did change over this last year is that we now have a redundancy of skills so that if one person is out, somebody else can pick up that position, and that has helped a lot in quite a bit in our hiring process. Working with the technology department, we're better utilizing current HR software in order to process the applications faster, and that goal continues to be met. We continue to work with the technology department to digitize more and more of our process so that people in my office are able to get materials much faster, and we're able to track where exactly a substitute is in the process. So we're getting fewer phone calls regarding why they haven't been called or why they're not meeting with me or somebody in my department. We're currently running more reports. We have more analytics available to us over this year, including attendance, observations, diversity. This is something that we were cognizant of, something that we thought was important. In fact, attendance is currently with our teacher network. One of the things that our teacher network and our culture and climate committees are working with in order to approve not only student attendance but teacher attendance. and the analytics that we're using are helping in that, to keep that going. Observations, we're able to track much more consistently our observations, making certain that all our staff members, especially our novice teachers who need 3 observations, that we're meeting them in a timely manner, and that we're giving them enough opportunity to improve in any areas that an administrator may recommend needs help. The length of time that it's taking to fill a job posting, we're doing at a much faster rate. That said, there are certain areas that still take us, that are still difficult to fill, and we're doing the best we can to fill them. Nurses is an area that's difficult to fill. Obviously, math teachers, science teachers sometimes become more difficult to fill, but overall, we're filling our positions in a much faster rate than we were previously. One of the ways we're doing that is we're continuing to attend university job fairs. We make connections and establish partnerships with universities and colleges, some of which have programs in district, and others which are working with us to make certain that we get student teachers on board again, in a timely fashion. Over the last few months, we've had between 7 and 10 student teachers in different buildings. And what we're doing with our student teachers is we're working with the administrators to make certain that as they're working as student teachers, that they come back to my office and that they fill out the applications to be substitutes, so that once they're no longer student teaching, the goal and the hope is that they'll come back and continue working with us on their off time as substitutes. Moving forward for 2021, most of the things that you're going to see here tonight are areas that other administrators have discussed over their presentations. This is just putting the human aspect to those, to their goals. We're looking for a preschool technician, needed mostly to cover our Cheesequake and other areas, other preschool areas in the district. And at least half of the cost of that technician is covered through the PEA. We need a network administrator as the district technology needs expands. As the district technology needs expand, the need for network administrator to manage those needs is important. And I think Mr. Mr. Glock-Malloy discussed that in his presentation. Included in the PEA budget, a campus monitor, one additional full-time preschool campus monitor, and again, in the PEA, at least part of that salary is covered through the PEA. We're also looking for a part-time campus monitor for every building in the district. This is something that was discussed in our safety meetings and safety committee meetings. Our district buildings are utilized more than just the high school and the middle school, are utilized at night, and we feel that it is, as long as the buildings are open, that we should have a campus monitor there so that our custodians don't have to take that dual role. And it is, as Mr. Glock-Malloy mentioned in his presentation, it is also something that the state has requested that we do. We're also looking for one existing campus monitor per building during summer hours, a total of 9 for the summer of 2020. This was a request made by all the administrators in district, the fact that their buildings are open during the summer for a number of reasons, and not having a security monitor there puts them and the employees at risk. And an increase for overtime budget for our campus monitors, that is based on our 2019-2020 usage. At the Samsel School, Ms. Cogdanese is asking for one full-time nurse, even with the preschool exiting the building. There's still the needs of the 4-5 exceed using just one nurse. Speaking with Ms. Carolyn O'Connor, We also spoke about the fact that this one full-time nurse would also work as the floating nurse for the district, and she or he would be able to cover the other buildings if a nurse is absent. Mrs. Cognice is also looking for one full-time grade 4-5 teacher in order to reduce class size, and she's looking for one STEM teacher. Years ago, I think that Dr. Shediak mentioned this. She might have mentioned this. I apologize if she didn't. But years ago, we had a STEM program at the UES where students took the STEM teacher as a special, and they were able to run labs using the science labs that are currently in the building. For whatever reason, that position was eliminated, and Mrs. Cognice feels that it's important to bring it back so that our students get some more time with STEM and STEM activities. For the district, we're looking for 2 K-3 math ASI teachers. Those 2 teachers would be shared amongst the 4 buildings so that the teacher would each teacher would be responsible for 2 buildings. We're doing very well with our ASI teachers in language arts, and this is something that would allow us to continue to improve our math scores at the K-3. As was mentioned in one of the prior presentations, we're also looking for one English language learner teacher, or a teacher of ELL. The number of our students requiring this service since October 15th has grown quite a lot, including 47 ESL students at the high school. We're looking for one multiple disabilities teacher. The reason for that is that our population continues to grow, more than likely based on the numbers we currently have, as it looks like that teacher would most probably be needed at the Arlith School. We're also looking for a speech teacher, and the reason for the speech teacher is that, again, the needs of our district have continued to grow, and where we were able to share a speech teacher between a number of schools, that need can no longer be met that way, and so we're looking for another speech therapist. At the middle school and high school, one special education teacher of mathematics. We're looking also for one special education teacher of language arts and one unified physical education teacher. The rationale for the unified physical education teacher was provided by Ms. Badami. Basically, the way it would run, we'd be able to do more of our unified program because currently it's grown to full 3 classes. With a unified physical education teacher, it would reduce the number that all the teachers are, that all the high school teachers are working. As far as doing 6 periods, they would be reduced to 5. The unified physical education teacher could cover the unified classes as well as general population classes. In transportation, as was mentioned in the last meeting, we need one mechanic. Our fleet is currently larger than what we can handle, or it's getting more difficult to handle. We also need one safety officer, and again, that was discussed by Mrs. Howell regarding state regulations and the need to make certain that our fleet is running as safely as possible. I'm going to bring up Mrs. Obrick now. She's going to discuss professional development.
Professional development has become so substantive at this point that for organizational purposes, I've broken it into 7 different sections for you. The first is Sayreville University, which is our in-district training program. September through March of this year, we've had almost 300 more students, teachers in district, than we did last year, so we are growing. Feedback from the program is pretty good. We've included some verbatims from our teachers. Every class takes a selfie, so you can see how happy they are. A lot of the trainings that we do go beyond the doors of SU. So district-wide, CPR, which is now more of a necessity because anyone who serves as an EpiPen delegate, who works on the Code Blue team, who attends field trips, stays after school for programs, needs to be CPR certified. So we organize that. State trainings, we organize through GNC, the Global Compliance Network, online. Playworks is the K-5 structured play at recess program, so any staff members who are involved in that training, as well as cafe aides, need to be trained. Administrator book clubs are actually run by Drs. Labby and Shediak. We were able to purchase books for our administrators to read and discuss as groups. We organize PLCs. Drop-in trainings were instituted last year. This is where our technology integration teacher, Barbara DeSantis, goes out into individual buildings and works with teachers on their preps and lunches. And individual support for teachers is given if needed. This is novice and tenured teachers, so if a supervisor or a principal does an observation, notices that a teacher needs a little help in a certain area, they will get in touch with us and we'll go in and work with them. We also work closely with special services, so we conducted their McKinney-Vento training for our homeless population, Project READ, and CPI, the restraint training program. Our new Teacher Institute, we implemented an elementary day over the summer, so it was an additional day of training for specialized programs in the K-5 buildings, Envision Math, Responsive Classroom, Fontes and Pinnell. Our Year 3 roundtable was implemented last year. This is where our Year 3 teachers come together as a group and share ideas that have worked well for them. And we've continued it this year. The elementary was actually today, and they came up with fantastic ideas. They then get to, in Year 4, have the opportunity to present for our NTI After Hours program, which is professional development following dismissal times. In September, we inducted our first graduating class of Sayreville University. And monthly roundtables are held in each building for new and veteran teachers. These are facilitated by the mentor coordinators. On June 11th, we will have our annual end of the year celebration, which is reflection, team building, and a celebration of everything that they've accomplished this year. You're all welcome to attend with us. The Teacher Resource Center opened last year. It was a comfortable space where teachers could meet to work. I know we did some curriculum writing there. We held some meetings there. It was a very nice area, and unfortunately had to close to provide room for preschool classes. We're hoping to reopen next year. The resource library that we instated has been operational the whole time and is utilized by teachers. We found that Parent University wasn't working the way that we had hoped that it would. We have some difficulty getting parents out, so we're looking at a few different options. Currently, we are talking about holding an ed camp for parents on a Saturday in the spring, possibly. It's currently under discussion. And Teacher Leader Network. Sayreville was part of Cohort 3 in the NJ DOE Teacher Leader Network program, and we came back for their Cohort 4 to serve as discussion leaders. This year, we started our own cohort that focused on chronic absenteeism. We have an advisory board, which is made up of teachers, principals, VPs, supervisors at all levels. They serve as the liaisons between administration and teachers. They provide support, and essentially they would be the decision makers for the program. Our first cohort, focusing on absenteeism, has done a lot of work so far. Secondary, which we're including the UES as secondary, so it's really the UES, the middle school, and the high school, have worked together. They've already had absentee programs in place, so they've worked together to go a little bit further. They've designed programs and incentive programs, competitions to encourage attendance. They're examining our own attendance policy and that of other districts. They're presenting at faculty meetings. The elementary teachers kind of started from scratch and have done a lot of work this year. They've developed letters to be sent home to parents, scripts to make phone calls, attendance contracts for students. They're developing building themes and competitions. They've created classroom lessons to be shared with teachers. They're attending PTO meetings and looking into family trends. The Leadership Academy, we are currently in cohort 3 to support any of our teachers who are aspiring administrators. Currently, we're working with South Brunswick. They came to our meeting today to observe how we run our program in order to establish their own. Anything you'd like to add?
One of the things that we've done in the Leadership Academy is we continue to invite all the cohorts back. So although we're on our 3rd cohort, we had, as Nina mentioned today, we had all the cohorts come back, whoever wanted to come back from those cohorts, to discuss topics that we feel are not covered in educational leadership programs, but things that they still should know as they come in, continue to work with us in the district, as well as continue to apply for administrative positions in the future. It continues to grow. The feedback that we get from cohort members, whether they're now administrators or still aspiring administrators, is that they understand the job of an administrator better. They have a better opportunity to run committees within their own buildings, and it is providing an opportunity for them to decide what their next step is. And even folks who thought they wanted to be administrators, who after a year with us decided they didn't want to be administrators, it's a good step as well, because they were able to speak one-on-one with administrators and really get an idea of what the job entails, what the sacrifices are, as well as the advantages and you know, why we do what we do every day. So,
Come join us at the table.
I start us off?
Yes.
Okay, I got a couple questions. The Leadership Academy. So it's not exactly about the administrative part, though, but I am interested in the mentorship. So could you just take me through, it's 2 questions here. Could you take me through what a new teacher, brand new out of college, comes in and teaches at one of our schools? What can they expect over X amount of years until they're, I guess, tenured, or in, I don't know what the process is or how long it is. Could you just?
they're 2 separate, so I'll be happy to speak to you about the teacher leadership, but what you're discussing is really the mentorship program that Mrs. Oberg runs along with the teacher mentors, and she'll be able to describe for you exactly what the induction program looks like.
There are 4 years that a teacher spends before they gain tenure.
Okay.
For the first 2 years, we offer half-day workshops 3 times during the year, as well as after-school workshops. They are mentored officially during their first year, but our staff in our buildings, as well as the official mentor, continues to work with the novice teachers. We recently expanded the program to include the year 3 roundtable, and then give those teachers, before they attain tenure, an opportunity to present for the year 1s and 2s.
Okay, so we didn't talk about year 4, but so let me ask this, is it the same person? Can they rely on one person to take them through years 1 through 4? And
Mentors are paid for only 1 year, but
Okay.
a mentor, the people who go into mentoring really want to help the teachers, and paid or not, they do stick with them for the 4 years.
Okay, so do we have any sort of metrics that measures whether it's actually working or not working, or if we have to tweak the process? I mean, do we have the actual process written down and we follow it every school the same way? Or is it each principal dictates?
The mentor program is run through professional development. Each building has a mentor coordinator who
Okay.
organizes, who stops in, observes teachers unofficially, gives them feedback, meets with them before and after school, and is able to answer any questions that they have specific to their building.
And as far as any metric, the best metric is whether or not we give them tenure at the end of 4 years. Because anybody who we work with through the mentorship program who isn't meeting the standards of the district, the standards of the building, our discussions we have with them first to make certain that we give them everything. And I can speak for Mrs. Obrick as well as a number of supervisors and administrators, really go first and foremost to improve those areas of deficiency to the utmost. And if and when that time comes that they're not meeting their needs, if the novice teacher is not meeting the needs of the district, is not meeting the needs of our students, then we have that difficult discussion with them. But first and foremost, it's always to improve the novice teacher, and I think since Mrs. Obrick took over the mentorship program and really turned it into an induction program, we have a much higher success rate of keeping our teachers, because we do understand also that every teacher that we let go to find their happiness elsewhere is a teacher that costs us money.
Sure,
It costs the district money.
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to make certain that we're cost effective, but also we're keeping the best people in the classrooms at all times.
Okay.
Can I
And-
piggyback on that?
Wait,
real quick?
just
Yeah.
one more if you don't mind. So I guess what I'm hearing is there's no really official, because each school, it doesn't sound like everyone's measured the same, like every teacher gets the same amount of instruction. It really depends on whether there's a mentor there, how much they want to invest in the new teacher. It doesn't sound like we're gonna meet every month, this is what we're gonna.
We do.
We learn this month, year 1, year 2, we learn this. So you have that written down?
Yes, we have 3 half-day workshops for year ones
Right.
during the year.
Right, I got that.
3 half-day workshops
one.
for year twos. In addition to that, mentor coordinators at each building run monthly roundtables to help teachers.
I missed that one.
Yes, they do keep the logs.
Are the coordinators at each school, that's new, right? That's relatively new?
No, that was in place when I took
Oh,
over.
it was, okay, that's what we just talked about. But I was just gonna ask about, what about a teacher who is just new to the district but does not need a mentor, who has teaching experience but is new to the district? Do they have
The
certain-
mentor coordinator acts as the mentor for those teachers.
But they still participate in those half-day
They do.
workshops,
They do.
as well as the after-school workshops.
Yes.
How about the year 3 and 4? Do they have any half-day workshops?
They do, with the year 3 has a half-day roundtable where they can share practices that have worked well for them. So then we create a Google Classroom and open it up to everyone so that they can use all of those ideas. And those are among the ideas that they then present in their 4th year to the novice teachers.
And then in year 4, we have our graduation, right?
Yes, year 5, the graduation.
One of the other things that has happened is that with the 4-year induction program, we do have we have many more administrators running workshops as well. So it doesn't all fall on Nina to figure out what, there's, for example, if we're doing something on law, school law, I might do a session. If we're doing something on curriculum, Dr. Shediak or one of the supervisors, if it's a specific curriculum, they may come in. So they're getting a lot, they get to meet a lot of the administrators on a little bit of a personal basis, which in turn helps them have those one-on-one discussions they might not otherwise have, because now they feel that some of those barriers have been
Sure.
reduced.
Sure, that makes sense.
And we do get their feedback after every workshop.
That was
and
my next question.
We use that to adjust the program as
Right,
necessary.
of course, I would
So-
think, yeah, you want to tweak it along the way, because you don't know what their
Absolutely.
needs are, right? Do you talk to other districts and find out what they do and find out if there's anything we
I
can do?
worked closely with South Brunswick last year. I'd like to reach out to other districts to see what they do. From the people that I've heard from, we do more for our induction than just about anywhere else.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I just have a quick, you guys do such a great job, but we're always trying to get parents more involved, and you give us a short, vision on the parent university and the parent ed camp, like, it's kind of what your vision is for that.
It's really in the planning process.
Right.
We would like to have parents come in on possibly a Saturday that would make it easier for them to get there rather than rushing around after work. And we're thinking, an ed camp, it's an unconference. So for educators, you go to an ed camp not knowing what you're gonna see or what you might end up presenting. For our parent university, we may have an idea of what we want to talk to parents about and have administration. We're looking into administration, doing some of the presentations and being a little bit more prepared. But the picture that you have on that slide,
Right.
it's the fundamental of the ed camp. So,
Fill the board. Right,
Yeah.
fill the board is what it's called.
yes, you're filling the board
Right.
Post-it notes. Yep.
different, so
Right.
participants can write down things that they want to see, and
Right.
our presenters note things that they want to talk about.
Okay.
So it's a matter of assigning classrooms. If a parent goes to a room and they're listening to something that is different than what they expected or not what they're interested in, they can get up and walk into another room.
Right. Thanks. No, it's ambitious, but it's another way we could try to get,
We're trying.
yeah, absolutely. Keep trying. We know they're the key. Thank you.
I have a question. There's the preschool technician and the part-time preschool campus monitor. You said the PEA was only going to pick up half of the costs. Why don't they pick up the whole thing? Where's the other half for? Like they're only going to be there half the time?
No, it's, Mr. Nasser could speak better to it because he understands the PEA better.
We have that now, too. Currently. But this is for next year? No, this is currently? I thought this is what you wanted for next year.
Right.
They're what? They're in the grant.
They're in the grant.
100%?
They're in the application for next year.
For next year. So it would be 100% funded if it came back
Yes.
in the grant? Not half?
Yes, I don't know where that's coming from.
Okay.
They're funded in they're funded in the preschool expansion aid application.
Okay, and they're going to be 100% dedicated to preschool?
Excuse me?
They'd be 100% dedicated to the
Yes,
preschool?
we would have someone at the Cheesequake, we would have someone at Samsel. And then, until we move from Samsel, we'll probably have someone still at Slover. But once we vacate Slover, we won't have a need for that person until the following year when we open the 18 to 21-year-old program. So the Samsel and the Cheesequake will be funded by the preschool expansion aid budget.
Okay,
The general budget will pick up the Slover one.
okay. And then you wanted a part-time campus monitor for every building. So if you got the campus monitor for every building, would you then not need the overtime budget increase?
It would depend on what's being run. Obviously, we don't use, if we have somebody in the building, we may not need as much in overtime. Currently, the budget that we presented, we know that if we don't get those monitors over for next year, that we will need to pay our existing monitors the overtime for covering different buildings.
It's not a complete wash.
It's not.
It's not. The overtime does not equal the cost of all of those monitors. But what we would do is, we could probably come close to eliminating most of the overtime by having the monitors. If we're having something big at a particular building, we can take the monitors who are at the other buildings and bring them over there. But where it really helps us is, as Dr. Agley says, even though the high school right now, we have part-time campus monitors as well as the middle school, because we have a lot of activities going on. But it doesn't mean at the elementary schools there are no activities going on. Also, if you've been at the elementary school, because they get out a little bit later, sometimes their teachers are there until a good 6 o'clock, if not later than that. So there are still quite a few people in our elementary schools. I would say up until right around 6, 7 o'clock. And then they do have sometimes rec activities at our elementary school. I know that wrestling is at the Arleth School. A lot of rec activities are at Samso. I know sometimes the junior barber cheer team sometimes is at Truman.
We also
And-
use Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts.
And there are Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts at our different elementary schools. So there's a lot of activities that go on. And because there's no campus security monitor there for some of them, now for some of the larger ones now, if we have a big PTO meeting or if we have a big PTO activity, we pay the overtime to have at least one there. But we're looking at, safety, and if we're gonna have 150 to 200 people at something, having one campus security monitor is not enough. So let's say the Arleth School is gonna have a function in their gymnasium in which they're gonna have about 300 people. Well, on that day, we'd have the Arleth campus security monitor, but we might say, hey, there's nothing going on really at Wilson or Truman that day. Let's bring those 2 campus security monitors down there so we have enough coverage for it, thereby not having to pay the overtime.
Okay, but I guess the heart of my question is, if you don't pay the overtime, is that going to be?
It's
I
not
mean,
gonna
you're doing
wa-
this for safety reasons
Yes,
or for
more
money
for
reasons?
safety, but an incidental benefit is that we would cut out most of our overtime too. But it's not a
Would that be a
wash.
problem, though, like for these people getting the overtime? Would that be a deterrent for them for
No.
the job?
No, because again, I'm not saying we're gonna cut out overtime, but there are gonna be functions in which we're gonna need overtime, depending on the size of an activity. Graduation, we're gonna need all campus security monitors there, so there's gonna be a need for overtime. Not to the extent that there is now, though. Eric, did I answer that according to?
Yeah.
You certainly don't want to use mine.
We're down one mic today, unfortunately. I think one of the big pieces of this from the safety perspective is that one of the things we're looking to do, one of the recommendations that came forward from the state, and I mentioned it in my presentation, was essentially the same concept, where right now, if we have a building open, we have a custodian there for varying reasons. They have the black seal, they're there to handle any custodial maintenance issues. We're really looking from the safety perspective. If we have someone in the building, if we have teachers in the building or activities in the building, we really need to have one of our security staff present as well to maintain the security for those people that are there, but then also maintain the security of the building. One of the things that was brought up at a lot of our meetings is that one of the highest exposure risks to a building is after school. When your primary security has gone home, someone can come into the building, they can leave something there that can be gotten the next day. So someone, a student or someone else that comes through security checkpoints the following day, if they've left something there the night before, your security is really breached at that point. So our goal there, the overtime is almost an auxiliary benefit of that. We're able to cover all of our events to the best of our
I
ability.
said incidental, isn't that the same thing?
Same thing.
Okay, guys.
Security is really the big presence there, that if we have a building open and people are in the buildings, we need to make sure that those people are safe in that building, and the perimeter of the building maintains the security presence that we have all day long.
And there, you mentioned another good point. I mean, our custodians are so accommodating and they do such a great job, but they have a job to do themselves. And, it does wear on them a little bit too, because they become like the security as well as they have to clean their rooms. So again, having them not have to worry about, opening doors and checking to make sure that people are where they're supposed to be, just allows them to focus more on doing what they're really supposed to be doing, and that's to make sure that our classrooms are sanitized and as clean as possible.
That's it.
By the way, I will add that
Great
those
job, guys.
positions are not in the budget
Great
right now. Those positions, were cut.
We're cut.
Yep.
So they were in the budget.
They're in the budget, but cut, as a cut. You guys know the system that we have right now. You know you can see, you can identify what's been cut. In fact, much of what Dr. Hacklees presented has been cut. And again, that's the system we have, you know, whereas if we are to receive, and we hope we do, you know, additional aid, equalization aid, we then know, you know, where to go to in terms of things we add back in.
Great, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Dr. Aguilis, you look as handsome as ever with that new haircut, by the way. Speaking of handsome, Mr. Coleman'sberger is here to give his presentation.
Did he get a haircut also?
He did get a haircut, and he's wearing his favorite color because he is a Jets fan. Oh, very well put.
Perceived characteristics. Hair talk.
Anthony feels left out.
I think your haircut looks just fine, yeah.
Thank you.
Very flattering.
All right, well, first off, I would like to thank Dr. Labby, Erin Hill, and her staff for all the work that they do, and Eric Lockmahoy, his staff, and of course, the Board of Education, because without all of us, none of the things that I do can be done. There's a lot of working parts in this district that people don't really understand and see, but with the support of all you, we got a lot of work done in this current year. And moving forward, we'll be getting a lot of more work hopefully done, as long as they get put back in the budget for next year. Hint. But I also
Wait a
want
minute,
to
was that thank you as like a way of like charming
thank
us
you.
into?
A little hint. But I'd also like to thank our facility department in general, whether it's the custodians, maintenance, they all do so much work. It starts with the truck for the stockroom coming to all the schools. They all work very hard. And I really do appreciate them. It's the same with all my administrative assistants, Karen Morris and Debbie DeVico. They do a lot of work inside the office too that goes unseen with putting in purchase orders and all the stuff that makes everything go round. And I would really like to just thank all them and you guys for all the work and hard work that you guys do to make the building safer. So with that, I would like to start with the stuff that we accomplished as a team this year. Due to the acting principal at the time at the high school, we ended up with a little bit more work here. We completed all the staff bathrooms that were in disarray, and we also redid the main office, which if anybody's been to the main office, it's come out very nice. It does look very, very good. And the school store that you heard about today is now open and functioning that we did. The middle school, we replaced the cafeteria floor. That was in very bad shape. It looks great. The gym floor up at the middle school has been replaced, not replaced, it was redone. And I think it's the first time that that's been done, brought down, repainted, and looked, I mean, it looks amazing. It really does. If anybody had a chance to get up there to look at it, it does look very good. Truman School, we did all the exit doors, we completed all the exit doors. So now we have new exit doors in every part of that building, which is a very big concern for safety. So now we should be up to date with all of our doors there. And we finally finished the last cluster in the ceiling to split it up into 2 rooms for better learning. Parking lot. We did parking lots, which kind of, I honestly didn't think we would get, but we found the money and we got it, and we redid the high school parking lot, the middle school, Wilson School, part of Arleth, and then hopefully in the near future, we could finish the rest of the district with that also. And as usual, throughout the annual, all our annuals that we do every year, we have school, all the 5 rooms per to school painted, or hallways, depending on where we're at. It's all up to the principals. We refinish every gym floor that is due, because usually you get 2 years out of each floor, and you refinish them. And lines where we need them, as we need them. Certain people that are looking at me right now wants me to change that plan, and we'll move forward and see that. Lipsy. For next year. Right now, what is currently in the budget is we are going to replace the server room air conditioning. Talking with Eric throughout the years that I've been here, the system that we have in our server room is not one of the best. It goes down constantly. Some of the systems that are in there are split units, and if we do reach temperatures below 42 degrees, some of the units shut off and will not cool the rooms. So we're coming up with a plan to do a better system that works better with server equipment. The middle school is not in the budget, but I would like to get it in. It's for the media center library. If anybody's been in there, that floor does not look presentable. It's very old, it's cracked in spots, and I would like to get that done to make the media center look better for the students to learn. And with the help of Nina Obrecht, change the outlook of that whole room to make it look good. And then, which is still in the budget, the controls in the E-wing. I don't know if anybody's been in the E-wing, but we replaced the units a few years ago, which about 4 by now, but we never did the controls. So sometimes they shut off for no reason. And the original units controls was when that place was put in. So now currently I did half of it. I would like to get the rest of it done so we have operating controls so the students can learn better. Then, of course, as you heard a lot from David, we seem to have some moving to do. So we're going to be working on that this summer to move all the moves that we have to do when we have to do them. We got a plan in place, thanks to David, too. He's coming up with a lot of plans where we're going to move after the summer when we get done with the programs that are currently utilizing the UES during the summer, and then we'll get that done. And then finally, for the custodial staff, we've been moving forward on this for a while, and I just want to keep going further and further with this. We started a new cleaning product that we already started. It's a more healthier product. It's less corrosive, it's less harmful, and eventually what we have to do is get totally away from bleach. We're really not supposed to be using bleach. It's tough to get everybody on board because we all know, we all clean. What do we love to smell? Bleach. But it's really not that healthy for anyone. And so we're definitely moving forward to that. And then we also started a new wax program up the UES that worked out tremendous. The stripper, as they did it, did not smell. And I don't know if anybody's been around in the summer when we're stripping floors, it smells really bad. So we went to a non-smell stripper. Then we did a new wax that we will never have to strip the floors down again after this process. And it'll save the district in the long term a lot of money because you're not playing stripper. And it's better for the economy. So, and that's for that. Now, I don't know if you have my other capital. This is where all the.
Wait a minute, there's more?
But you get 2?
Yeah, we did a lot of work this year, right? Well, I thought Rick was doing capital, but he let me know last minute I was doing. Capital, this is where we definitely always has to work as a complete team because this takes more than just me. As you can see at the high school, we did the whole track replacement. We did the varsity baseball field finally, that got done. And we are currently, starting tomorrow, we will do the programming for the new theater lighting that has been complete. And then on Thursday, we will have everyone trained on that system, which I cannot wait till that's done because for years, every time we had a play, I was praying that it stayed on because it was very,
It's
very
just in
bad.
time for the musical, too. That's awesome.
Yeah, once we can keep, what we can do with this new system and it'll cost money at times, but it'll be amazing what we could do for the kids to learn that type of, to learn theater lighting and working it with music. The middle school, we did the locker rooms finally. I'm sure some people are very happy about that. Samsel up apartment, we did the parking lot expansion for the buses. That seems to be working out very, very well. I haven't heard any complaints about the new situation, but that was done, and it was done very quickly, which was great for me. Eisenhower School, we are starting the windows hopefully before spring break, but I'm doubting, as soon as they're done, we're gonna start ripping out all the windows, and due to low bids and getting the bid on the contract, we were able to do the entire school, which is tremendous help. Truman School, as I said before, we did the final partition. Then we did, which, this is where teamwork came in amazing, that we all got together on this and everybody did their thing. Whether it was Dr. Labby redesigning the high school one in the middle of the process, or Eric coming up with ideas for all of our swipe cards, and Michael in the back from technology has helped us all tremendously with this, and we finally completed all 3 of them, and now we're looking forward to, on the next slide, moving forward to the next phase of these, which I believe, I know I'm not going in order, I apologize, but I believe we came under bid. I think the number was around 917, some folks.
It is.
901, I think.
How much under?
It was 320 under.
320 under, great.
320,000.
It's on the agenda
which
tonight, yeah.
Works for everybody here, I'm sure. And that'll complete all of our schools except for Slover, of course, because that's that's got a different renovation. But hopefully, the next thing is the referendum that I'm hoping that we get. It'll be great for the district because it helps our building envelope more than anybody could really realize. It's the roofs, it's the windows that we didn't complete yet. It's the univents that are leaking or broken, that some of the univents are originals in these schools. And yes, we want to go with air conditioning with the referendum. As you see with climate change, unfortunately, we're getting hotter and hotter. And, I mean, every time I do this, I know I'm jinxing myself. Just look at this so-called winter. What do you think the summer is going to be like if we're already 20 degrees above average? I'd hate to be 20 degrees above average at the end of June and even in May with the kids, because I think we might have to close at times. What's in the budget is, if you ever been at a graduation here, you got the gymnasium air condition finally getting installed, so we don't pass out, basically, because it gets about 100. Last year that we had one in there, I had a temperature gauge, and believe it or not, it was 105 degrees in the stands. That's a little hot for a graduation. And then another thing we actually started doing it's the ESIP program, which is an energy saving program. We are currently working with the vendors day and night, whenever we're open, to do we're getting an inventory of all our mechanicals, all our rooftop units, and whatever we can save energy on, they're gonna propose. And which is good about this, and I'm not guaranteeing it, I'm just saying it might happen. It might take some work away from the referendum on certain air-conditioned units. But other than that, that's what we've done, and like, again, I would like to thank everybody here for, I mean, I've been in this district a very long time, and the progress I've seen in the last 4 years that I've been doing, working with all of you, is amazing, and without your support, you've definitely benefited the children of this town, and that's most important to me anyway. And that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like me to sit down?
Join the table. Mr. Walsh needs some company right now.
Oh, Lord.
Jimmy, I don't have any questions for you. I mean, we talk all the time in the finance committees about all these. But, yeah, I just want to say, I want to thank you. You and your department, and I mean this with all sincerity. You do great work. And you saved this district. I mean, I couldn't even quantify it at this point, how much money by you guys doing the work. And you do great work. It's clean, it's done right. So thank you. Really, you do an awesome job.
I
Okay?
appreciate it, and
No
they do
problem.
too. They do I'm very lucky that I have the staff that I do.
Yeah. I just want to echo what Anthony says, and especially everyone knows what an aging district this is. The middle school locker rooms, I think, were the same from when I went there. So, I mean,
Oh, my God.
the school looked exactly the same.
They
So,
were original.
and I'll just never, the vestibules are just such a huge, I mean, whether I'm picking up my kid from the nurse and I'm a board member, and it's just so comforting as a parent knowing that my kids, that I can't even get in that school, through that door. And, it's been a huge addition to I'm sure all the parents sleep better at night. Those vestibules have, I know I sleep better knowing that they're there and the great security team we have there, but that's part of our great security team. So, again, thank you.
And Mr. Coleman'sberger is a pretty humble guy. I think the only thing that myself and probably others included, should get any recognition for is just listening. Jimmy knows this district by the back of his hand. It's this old house. He knows where all things are. He knows what is not working, why it's not working, and how long it hasn't been working. He's been in every single building, so every one of these buildings is like his second home. The other thing I think we're very fortunate about is he understands what it takes for a school district to repair or replace some of the things that are wrong. And he's been incredibly helpful in establishing our long-range facilities plan. We rely on our architects when necessary, we rely on our engineers, when appropriate, but the person that drives our long-range facility plan is the person that knows the buildings in this district the best, and that's Jimmy. And the last thing, which I find most helpful, is whenever we're looking at a problem, he mentioned the lights. He's got 2 quotes right away, because he knows contractors. He knows people in the industry. He can give Aaron and I immediately information that we need as to whether to move on and where to place a particular item in our priority list, which again is incredibly helpful. So, in the end, while we certainly appreciate the compliments, Mr. Coleman'sberger is by far the driving force, and we're just there to listen, and that's what our job is. So, thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
I have one question.
We put the fence up.
We put the
It's a
fence
fence
up.
Put the
question.
fence up.
Come on, give me a break. The gate leading into the football field by the track, one that we were holding together with the bungee strap, has that been fixed yet?
It's
told
been
me once they
adjusted.
did the
Well,
track,
you're talking
We
about
have a
one
whole
closest
new
to the
gate.
track, or you're talking about what I call the Rick Palace?
Yes, because we have a whole new gate that we're constructing. We're going to have a whole new gate
No,
with
the
permanent.
inside, the short one when you go onto the track that,
Yeah, that's been readjusted.
oh.
And we have the handrails that are going to go up that
Yeah.
Mr. Nagel mentioned.
Yeah,
So
with
those
the
are ready to go up. Jimmy also got quotes for that.
Good, I get a hot
But
dog
we are
again.
going to be, we just got a paving quote. Because we need to put in permanent metal detectors, we are going to make a whole new nice gate for the stadium. And
Yeah,
again,
it'll be
that's
on our
where
next
the
facility
genius of
meeting.
Jimmy comes
Yeah, but
along.
that was, I was talking about that inside fence that night. that
Yeah,
I
he already got
just-
that, yeah.
The problem with that one, so you know, it's gonna always require, whether we put a new one out or not, we're gonna constantly, kids will be kids. And the track is where it is, and people, for some reason, love to push that in when it actually is a
Supposed
pullout
to
gate.
come out.
Oh, it is a pullout? I've been pushing it.
It's all
So-
your fault.
It's not the kids, it's me.
And then they jam it up to try to get it in, and then, of course, instead of opening the gate, nobody just jumps over it. and
Oh,
puts
no,
all the
nobody
weight.
does that.
Yes, that's been readjusted, and I'll make sure
never
when
see
you're
me jump
coming, we'll
over
have
it.
it readjusted.
I may have.
Thank you, Jim.
Anyone else?
Great, thank you.
Good job, Jim.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Esposito, I believe that there are some committee meetings that maybe some board members would like to comment on?
Yeah, that was the final presentation. You are correct. Who has anything to report? Anyone yet? We could have finance if Aaron wants to give us a quick rundown.
I know we had student achievement since our last meeting, too, didn't we?
No.
No?
That was before the other one.
So it was just finance and personnel?
We met fast.
What?
Yes.
That was a time for me.
Finance, you want to go first, Aaron?
Sure,
to
I'll go
run us
first.
through it? Thanks.
So just the major highlights for the last finance meeting. We talked about the high school theater lighting, as Mr. Coleman'sberger just mentioned. The work at that time was almost complete. It's now complete, and we're at the programming stage. Eisenhower windows, the shop drawings have been submitted, so we're waiting for the windows to actually come in. So we're hopeful that the work will start over spring break, but we also have to realize that with a 16-week lead time on windows, it might not happen until May. And the elementary security vestibules came in under budget. We had a lower bid originally, that was the low bid. However, the vendor did not do their calculations correctly in their bid, so they withdrew their bid, so we went to the second lowest bidder. And those are the highlights.
Any questions on finance? No? Who's got student achievement? Was that the one that, oh, personnel, was that the one who met?
The Personnel Committee met earlier this evening. Items discussed included the new Assistant Director of Food Services position, the other open positions and fill positions that are going to be on the agenda for approval tonight.
Okay. Yes.
Middlesex County School Board Association, I want to remind everybody that the Unsung Heroes Dinner is on Tuesday evening, March 24th, and they have pushed the time up to 5:30 because it is a school night, and we want to get the kids out and home as early as possible. So make sure you sign up for that, because it's a really wonderful evening where we honor students who have not necessarily achieved academically, but have done outstanding things, some of them under adverse conditions. So it's really a wonderful evening, and it will be my first time as MC, as the new president of MCEA, so I'm excited.
I'll be there.
for
It's a
that.
great night.
Nice.
It's
I'm
an
coming
awesome
too.
night.
Now I'm
Where do
coming.
we sign up?
You can get Erin to sign up, right? Yeah.
So, there's nothing else, we'll go right to the superintendent's report?
Yep.
Okay. Nope.
Oh, no, I believe we have to do, we need to do public participation on agenda items only.
We'll
You
go
ask
to-
me? Okay, all right, I'll go first.
Yeah, we did that one.
Okay, so if I can bring your attention to finance and infrastructure, it's just two items I want to mention. There's a lot of items there, but two of note, numbers 12 and 13, as Mr. Colemanberger alluded to earlier. We're asking you to award the bid for the security vestibule upgrades at Arleth, Eisenhower, Truman, and Wilson to the G. Meyer Group. They were the obvious lowest bidder. And we're also asking you to take from capital reserve $321,913. And just so you know, we had previously allocated the rest of the funds indicated there in this particular budget. So that's why we're only asking you for the $300,000 from capital reserve. Any questions on that? You can find that on page 3. With regard to student achievement, which you can find on page 10, of note, numbers 4 and 5, we're asking you to approve the 2020 Summer Enrichment Program. Dates and times, I can't believe it, but we're already talking, and we're already thinking, we're already planning for the summer, as well for our exciting Camp Excel. Summer enrichment will begin a little bit earlier than Camp Excel. It'll begin the first week of June, July, actually, the first week of July, which begins on June 29th. Whereas Camp Excel will actually begin the following week on July 6th, and that will go through August 6th. In governance, if you can look at items 2 and 3, which you can find on page 12, we're asking you to revise the 2020-21 school district calendar. And I believe, Dr. Shediak, that revision is only because we have to move a half day.
Yes, we have to move a half day due to AP testing in May.
Correct. So on the 2020-21 calendar, there is a half day in May. We're just changing the date of that because there's AP, there was AP testing scheduled on the original date. Outside of that, we're asking you to approve, believe it or not, the 2021-22 school district calendar. And just so you know, we have shared that with all of our collective bargaining units and asked them for feedback. And finally, on number 4, in governance, which you can find on page 12, we're asking you to approve the 2020-21 Teamsters Local 469 holiday schedule. On personnel, which you can find on pages 16 and 17 and the addendum, numbers 10 and 12, as well as 23, naturally, we're asking you to hire new certificated and non-certificated staff for this year. Number 19, we're asking you to approve teachers for our Reaching for the Stars Academy, which is the second year we're doing it. And if you're not familiar with that academy, similar to our literacy and math academies, they are for some of our students who are right on the cusp of jumping into meeting expectations. And I give Dr. Shediak and our principals and supervisors great credit for creating yet another very effective program in helping our children demonstrate that they meet standards on the NJSLA. So we're asking you to approve those teachers. You can find that on page 19. Number 24, which can be found in the addendum, we are asking you to approve the transfer of a non-certificated staff member. And number 25 on the addendum, we're asking you to approve the suspension with pay of a middle school teacher.
Any questions from the board on agenda items? No questions? Okay. At this point, I'd open it up to the public. If they have any questions or comments on agenda items only. Okay, seeing none? I will, oh, you got one? Okay, can you please just state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Nancy Diaz, 10 Sunrise Terrace, Parlin. My son attends the Sayreville Middle School. And I'm looking at the agenda and I see the approval of the new hires and retirees, and I'm wondering why there's no mention of John Denuto suspension in this agenda. And I'm wondering why we haven't received any notice or communication from the school as to what's happening at the middle school. I'm concerned for my son's safety. I think, considering the news, that we should have at least received an email at this point, something. Can you please address that?
Number one, we cannot comment on personnel matters. However, if you look at the addendum, number 25, I just mentioned something. 26, I'm sorry, I have the enumeration wrong, but if you look at the last item on the addendum, that was what I was referencing in my final comment. With regard to communication by the district on what has transpired, I did put out Talk Soup on Monday, and I referenced it there as well.
I didn't see it on the talk soup. It might have gone into my spam because I don't always get it, but.
You're not reading my Talk Soup, Mrs. Diaz? Why do I fight this?
So what, if you
Nobody
can
reads
recap,
it.
if you can recap, well, sometimes it goes into my spam, so I don't get it for a week, after I check. Can you
Essentially, I can't comment too much. All I can say is, everyone, from the Board of Education to everyone in this district was deeply shocked and troubled. And, we are taking this matter obviously very serious. The safety and well-being of our students is and will always be our highest priority. We are working very, very closely with law enforcement. And we've had counselors on standby at all of our schools, particularly the middle school today, and will continue to do so for the time being.
Okay, excuse me if I don't have a comfort level about the safety of my child, considering that this individual was transferred from the high school. The news reports are saying that he was charged or alleged to have conducted illegal strip searches on minors, and yet he was transferred from the high school to the middle school. I just can't understand, and some of you were members at that time who thought that was a good idea, to place the line into the lion's den. So I don't have a comfort level, not having received an actual email, a phone call, or anything, to make me feel like everything is being done to make sure that this doesn't happen again. This is the 4th or the 5th person in our district since my son started school. He's only in 8th grade. So I feel like we need to discuss the culture here. We need to discuss what's actually being done in terms of background checks. I mean, there's something seriously wrong when this has happened again. And it's so public, and it's embarrassing. And I feel so awful for that child and for that family. But I don't have a comfort level, and I think that more communication from this board is very necessary at this time. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Food for thought, please. Give us a comfort level as parents that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, so it doesn't happen again. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please, come on up.
My name is Mohammed Naveed, parent, middle school and high school. I just want to echo on her point about how a wrestling teacher goes on to become a math teacher in middle school. And that to me goes back to her point. It's like, what are the types of background checks that you're doing? So that is really appalling, and it's really disturbing to have 3 of my kids in the school district, and this is really disturbing. There's seriously something needs to be done towards the background check and things like that. So we are here for, afraid to say, not for a good reason, because we are in the news again, not for a good reason, but this is just our point that we are
Yeah. Dr. Labby, I'm going to answer this one.
Yeah,
No, no,
with regard to background checks?
Yeah, do you want me to answer this?
I have no problem. You want to jump in? All of our staff members have to have an extensive criminal history check.
It's not, and if I could just add to this, it's not just our staff members, it's every staff member in the entire state of New Jersey has to have the exact same level of background checks. So this school district is not any different than any other school district, and I think the board hears you loud and clear, and the prior speaker loud and clear with respect to your specific concerns. But just so you're aware, the background checks that are done are statutorily mandated, and they're done with respect to every employee. And we can't get into discussing specific personnel matters. I hope you can appreciate that. That's just a matter of law. We have to respect everyone's rights, even people who've been accused of terrible things. But what I think is important for you as a parent and any other parent to know is that this board, like Dr. Labby said, takes this very seriously, that the board's rules and requirements and standards on personnel are exactly the same as is required, which are pretty high in the state of New Jersey, of every other place. And when a teacher, again, not specifically this person, but in general, when a staff member has what's described as tenure, the district obviously has to be very careful in how it proceeds. So without getting any specific detail, the way you described the facts here, it's not that you had a teacher who went from, I think you described him as a wrestling coach to a math teacher.
That's what is in the news. But.
Yeah, there's obviously more to this, but most important is to know that this district takes your child and every other child's safety very seriously. All the requisite background checks are completed. And unfortunately, we can't give you more details. Much as this board may like to, I'm going to ask them, obviously not to, as the board attorney.
Well,
I trust the process. It was the high school before, now it's the middle school. Next is the upper elementary school. You can't help but think that way. So it's
Well, he's been suspended,
Yep.
right? That's what, or he will be suspended if the board acts tonight. I can't imagine they'll have anybody who's voting against that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on agenda items? No? Okay. Hearing none, we'll close public portion regarding agenda items now, and I will entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's report. Ms. Hill, a roll call, please.
So moved.
So moved.
So I have a motion by Mr. Walsh and a second by Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Belka?
Okay, no on D number 10, page 16. Abstain on D number 18, page 18. Yes on all other items.
So I just wanted to make sure I heard you. D10 is a no, D18 is abstain?
Abstain, yes.
Okay. Mrs. Bacco?
I'm going to vote no on page 16, number 10, the Assistant Director of Food Services.
All other
And
items?
yes, on the rest.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mrs. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Rubio?
Yes.
And Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, I will open up to public regarding any issues that are related to the district, not just agenda items, anything you'd want to speak about. Okay, once again, hearing none, we'll close the public portion, and I think that's it. So we'd like to entertain a motion
So moved.
to close.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom, first by Mr. Walsh.
Or the other way.
All in favor?
This is the other way?
Who's
Okay.
used first?
I don't know.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to, one more motion to adjourn, please. Are we at that point?
Oh, that was it.
That was it.
Oh, I closed public. We
You
did-
almost had, you
I
almost
did
had
both.
that.
Yeah, I'm economical.
Did you take that to mean
Next-
adjournment?
We're back March
Did the board
3rd,
take
right?
that to mean adjournment?
We're adjourned.
All right, I'll go for it, it's fine.
Hey, listen, just because you're here tonight, don't be.
Thank you all for coming this evening.
Get your gavel.